In the kingdom of Ife, a princess's beauty sparks a queen's deadly envy. Will Adesewa's pure heart triumph? Experience this Nigerian twist on Snow White. Subscribe now for the full story. In the old kingdom of Ife, harmony and tradition flourished under the benevolent rule of King Adeyemi. His people loved him for his generosity and commitment to upholding Yoruba customs. One day, his beloved wife gave birth to a daughter whose arrival filled the palace with joyous celebration. The child was named Adesewa, a name meaning, the one who brings beauty and abundance. Tragically, not long after Adesewa's birth, the queen fell gravely ill and passed away. Heartbroken, King Adeyemi poured all his affection into raising his young daughter. Adesewa grew into a gentle soul, known for her warm smile and caring nature. From a young age, she displayed a remarkable empathy that endeared her to everyone she met. The princess's favorite pastime involved strolling through the palace gardens, admiring the lush foliage and bright blossoms. She would occasionally gift flowers to the palace servants, showing that she saw everyone a noble or common as worthy of kindness. Years passed, and King Adeyemi felt his daughter needed a maternal figure. Thus, he wed Queen Morenike, an elegant woman who arrived with her own sense of regal poise. At first, the people of Ife welcomed her with open arms. She was graceful and charming, wearing richly colored iro and buba that reflected her fiery spirit. However, as soon as the wedding festivities ended, a different side of Queen Morenike emerged. She possessed a certain vanity and was obsessed with maintaining her status as the most beautiful woman in the land. Whenever she looked at Adesewa, she recognized the youthful radiance that threatened her own sense of superiority. The queen's envy began as a whisper in her mind, but day by day, it grew louder. Though outwardly she remained polite, Morenike found herself scrutinizing Adesewa's every action. Her insides burned at the sight of the princess's natural loveliness and effortless grace. King Adeyemi, unaware of the tension simmering beneath his roof, continued to rule with wisdom and fairness. He adored both his daughter and new wife, hoping their bond would strengthen the kingdom. Little did he know that Queen Morenike's concealed jealousy would soon put his cherished daughter in grave danger. For Adesewa, life continued peacefully for now. She prayed daily at dawn, thanking the Creator for her blessings and her father's unwavering support. She would sometimes catch glimpses of the queen's watchful eye, but dismissed the notion that hostility could lurk behind those measured gazes. Her innocence shielded her from recognizing the looming threat. Yet, deep within the palace walls, Queen Morenike's resentment grew stronger, setting in motion a perilous chain of events that would test Adesewa's fortitude and the unity of the entire kingdom. Thus begins the tale of Princess Adesewa, whose pure heart and enchanting beauty would become both her gift and her curse in the kingdom of Ife. Queen Morenike's fascination with her own reflection took root in the heart of the palace. Hidden away in her private quarters stood a large, ornate mirror said to have been passed down through her maternal lineage. Intricate carvings of mystic symbols adorned the mirror's frame, and while it appeared beautiful at a glance, its reflective surface possessed a whispered power. Late one evening, unable to quell her simmering curiosity, Morenike approached the mirror. She draped a silk scarf over her hair and carefully lit a pair of candles, each flame flickering in the stillness of the chamber. With a sense of both reverence and dread, she peered into the mirror, framing her question in a hushed tone. "Mirror, mirror so old and grand, who is the fairest in Ife's land?" At first, there was nothing but silence and Morenike's own reflection. Yet, as she waited, the mirror's surface rippled as though touched by a faint breeze. A soft voice emerged, almost more of a breeze than a sound. "Your beauty, Queen, is indeed striking. Yet Adesewa's is pure and unmatched." The queen's face went cold. She swallowed hard, her heart beating thunderously in her chest. This was the confirmation she dreaded, the pronouncement that fueled her fear. Adesewa was the fairest, and not her. Jealousy smoldered behind Morenike's eyes, igniting a spark of malice she could scarcely contain. She clenched her fists and expelled a trembling breath, vowing that her stepdaughter's radiance would never overshadow her own. In the days that followed, the queen grew more guarded, meticulously hiding her intentions behind a veneer of cordiality. Nevertheless, her distrust of Adesewa expanded, poisoning her thoughts. She considered every possible way to secure her position, to ensure that she and not the innocent princess remained the pinnacle of beauty in the kingdom. Adesewa, on the other hand, continued to go about her daily life, greeting servants and palace staff with her usual kindness. She had no inkling of the darkness coiling around Queen Morenike's heart. Whenever they crossed paths in the hallways, the princess offered a friendly nod, entirely unaware of the queen's concealed turmoil. Unwilling to strike too soon, Morenike bided her time, studying Adesewa and weighing her options. She knew the people of Ife adored the princess, so any direct action might provoke widespread outrage. Instead, the queen plotted in secret, searching for an ally or a method to rid herself of the competition. Late at night, with the moonlight illuminating her quarters, she consulted the mirror again. This time, she asked not about who was fairest, but how to remain so. The mirror's cryptic response only fueled her desperation further. The stage was set for a perilous confrontation that would soon place innocent Adesewa in mortal danger while the unsuspecting king presided blissfully over a kingdom headed toward chaos. Soon after the mirror's haunting revelations, the kingdom of Ife prepared for a grand festival celebrating its storied heritage. The entire capital buzzed with energy. Stalls lined the streets offering everything from hand-woven baskets to fresh palm wine, and traveling performers showcased drumming, dancing, and masquerades. King Adeyemi, eager to unite his family publicly, extended invitations far and wide, promising a vibrant occasion of music, feasting, and gratitude. Adesewa, thrilled by the chance to partake in such splendor, looked forward to wearing an outfit that honored her mother's memory, a pastel blue gown that her mother once stitched for her in childhood, now altered to fit her growing figure. She glided around the palace, chattering excitedly with the servants and gardeners about festival preparations. Everyone, from the palace cook to the stable hands, appreciated her friendly spirit. Queen Morenike, however, was far from merry. Ever since the mirror had confirmed that Adesewa's beauty eclipsed her own, she had grown increasingly resentful. Standing on the balcony overlooking the palace courtyard, she watched as her stepdaughter practiced a few dance steps to the lively beats echoing through the market square. To an outside observer, the queen might have appeared mildly disinterested, but deep within, her envy crackled with intensity. On the day of the festival, King Adeyemi welcomed neighboring nobles and tribal leaders to the palace. Adesewa greeted them gracefully, offering blessings and well wishes. She then proceeded to dance in the open courtyard, her movements combining classical Yoruba steps with her own creative flair. The crowd erupted in thunderous applause, celebrating both her skill and her radiant beauty. Queen Morenike, dressed in her finest red and gold attire, clapped half-heartedly, managing a strained smile. Despite the queen's internal storm, King Adeyemi saw only the outward semblance of civility. He believed this festival was the perfect opportunity for Morenike and Adesewa to mend any lingering gaps between them. During the final feast of the evening, he invited the queen to sit next to the princess, hoping the proximity would allow for friendly conversation. Morenike accepted, though her politeness felt brittle. Indeed, the festival was remarkable. Drummers pounded out mesmerizing rhythms, while acrobats performed daring stunts. Food and drink flowed freely, and the people of Ife relished every moment. In their eyes, the royal family seemed at peace. Yet beneath the layers of celebration, Morenike's ambition festered. She constantly eyed Adesewa, who glowed under the lantern light. By night's end, the crowd dispersed, still humming with excitement over the day's festivities. Queen Morenike slipped away to her quarters, letting loose a silent wave of anger she had held back all evening. Adesewa, exhausted but joyful, retired to her chamber, clueless about the queen's deepening malice. King Adeyemi congratulated himself on a successful celebration, unaware that beneath the surface of palace life, danger was brewing, danger that would soon test the bonds of family and the resilience of innocence. As the festival's laughter fades into the night, a storm brews within the palace walls. Queen Morenike, her heart darkened by envy, can no longer ignore the shadow Adesewa casts over her. While King Adeyemi sleeps peacefully, believing unity has been restored, danger stirs in the quiet corridors. What sinister plan is the queen weaving in the depths of her chamber? And how long can Adesewa's innocence shield her from the storm ahead? Find out in the next episode. Despite the festival's outward success, Queen Morenike's jealousy could not be subdued by mere public spectacle. In the days that followed, her bitterness calcified into a determined plan. She sought counsel with an unlikely confidant, Baba Dudu, a seasoned palace huntsman who was respected for his tracking skills. Most considered Baba Dudu a solitary figure, loyal to the crown but distant from courtly politics. One afternoon, Morenike summoned him under the guise of needing rare herbs from the forest for a royal remedy. He arrived at her private chamber, modestly attired in traditional hunter's garb, a dark brown outfit, well suited to blending into dense foliage. The queen closed the door behind him and paced about the room, her expression taut with unease. With hushed severity, she revealed her true objective. Take Princess Adesewa into the heart of the forest. Do whatever it takes to ensure she does not return. Her voice quivered, a mix of rage and desperation. She offered Baba Dudu gold, land, and status, anything to secure his compliance. The huntsman froze in disbelief. Although he revered the queen's authority, he also knew Adesewa's gentle character. Morenike pressed on, threatening him with dire consequences should he refuse. Baba Dudu reluctantly accepted the order, his conscience heavy. The next day, he approached Adesewa, instructing her that the queen wished for fresh medicinal plants from deep within the forest. Always eager to help, Adesewa agreed without suspicion. Together, they set off at dawn, passing far beyond the farms and dwellings surrounding the kingdom. The dense canopy overhead filtered the sunlight, creating a hush of shadows as they ventured further. Adesewa found a sense of wonder in the forest's allure, marveling at vibrant flowers and chattering birds. Baba Dudu, on the other hand, could scarcely meet her eyes. Each time he reached for his hunting knife, he felt a pang of guilt that rooted him to the spot. How could he harm one so innocent? He recalled her acts of kindness to the palace staff and even small gestures of gratitude extended to him during hunts. When they reached a secluded clearing, Baba Dudu could no longer bear the weight on his chest. He dropped to his knees, confessing the queen's deadly plan. "The queen wants you gone," he whispered. "But I cannot do this. Run, princess. Hide where she can never find you." A wave of terror and heartbreak swept over Adesewa. She realized she had no choice but to flee into the depths of the forest, leaving behind her father and the home she loved. With tears welling in her eyes, Adesewa raced away. Baba Dudu, overcome with remorse, watched as her figure disappeared among the towering trees. Dread coiled in his gut, for he knew the queen would demand proof of her foul instructions and he had none to give. Thus, two destinies were changed. Adesewa's, cast into exile, and Baba Dudu's, haunted by an impossible task and the wrath of Queen Morenike. Adesewa ran deeper and deeper into the forest, guided only by moonlight filtering through thick foliage. Fear mingled with hope in her heart. She was terrified of Queen Morenike's wrath, yet determined to survive on her own, if that was the only way to stay alive. By dawn, her feet ached, and her once elegant attire was stained with mud and streaked by branches. Through the branches, she spotted smoke curling into the sky, a sign of habitation. Weary and hungry, she followed the trail until she stumbled upon a small compound nestled among ancient trees. It consisted of a few modest huts arranged in a semicircle. Unsure who lived there, Adesewa hesitated, her stomach twisting with both hunger and uncertainty. Still, she mustered courage and knocked on the nearest wooden door. To her surprise, 7 short-statured men opened the door with cautious curiosity. Each had a unique characteristic, from a chipped tooth to a slight limp. They introduced themselves as Kola, Tunde, Femi, Dio, Kunle, Whale, and Sola friends, who had banded together to live a peaceful life away from crowded cities. Their welcoming smiles revealed a sense of camaraderie, and they were moved by Adesewa's obvious exhaustion and distress. She told them a guarded version of her story, omitting names to protect both herself and them. However, her gentle manner and evident sorrow touched the 7 friends deeply. They offered her a place to stay, asking no intrusive questions. Moved by their kindness, she humbly accepted, promising to help with chores and cooking in return. Life in this secluded compound was simple but filled with heart. Every morning, the 7 men rose early to tend their farmland or gather materials from the forest, returning at dusk to share a communal meal. Adesewa joined wholeheartedly, grateful for the sense of family she found there. She helped wash clothes in a nearby stream, collected firewood, and prepared meals. Over time, her presence brought a delicate warmth to the compound, as though a missing piece of harmony had been found. The men also discovered that she possessed a knack for healing, knowledge passed down from her late mother. Adesewa would brew herbal teas to help with aches from their labor. She learned each friend's personality. Kola was jovial, Tunde was practical, Femi was impulsive, Deo was reflective, Kunle was shy, Whale was stubborn, and Sola was playful. Despite their differences, they treated one another like family. Little did Adesewa know that, far away in the palace, Queen Morenike fumed. Believing Baba Dudu had carried out her orders, she smirked whenever she glanced at her mirror. At the same time, the king remained oblivious, missing his daughter but believing she might have gone on a retreat. Within the forest sanctuary, Adesewa found a semblance of peace, though the memory of her stepmother's menacing gaze occasionally haunted her dreams. Unaware that danger still lurked, she embraced the small joys of her new life, not knowing her trials were far from over.
Back at the palace, Queen Morenike sought final confirmation of Adesewa's fate. She once again approached the enchanted mirror, demanding, "Tell me, mirror, am I now the fairest in Ife's land?" The mirror, in its cryptic whisper, replied that while the princess was presumed lost, she still lived, and her beauty endured. Rage flooded Morenike's veins, her plan undone by the huntsman's mercy. Determined to finish the job herself, the queen concocted a more insidious scheme. She devised a disguise, dressing as a traveling market woman with worn-out clothes and a plain head wrap to mask her regal features. Concealing her snake tattoo with a cloth band, she filled a basket with roasted yam laced with potent poison. If neither command nor threat could eliminate Adesewa, Morenike would see to it personally. Word spread through hushed whispers that a disguised figure was seen leaving the palace grounds in the early dawn. The queen moved swiftly through the forest paths, aided by her knowledge of local routes. Before long, she stumbled upon the clearing where the 7 friends lived. Unaware of the hidden danger, they politely greeted her, curious about her ways. She feigned a warm smile and offered them samples of her delicious roasted yam. Adesewa stepped out from one of the huts, drawn by the commotion. The disguised queen beckoned her closer, praising her lovely complexion and insisting she try a slice. Politely, Adesewa accepted. One bite was all it took. A bitter aftertaste spread over her tongue, and her vision blurred. She collapsed before she could realize the truth. The 7 friends rushed to her side, shouting for help. In the chaos, the disguised queen slipped away into the forest, leaving behind only her empty basket. Adesewa lay motionless, her breathing shallow. Though the men attempted every herbal remedy they knew, she remained still as though asleep. Her once lively eyes stayed shut, and her pulse grew faint. Grief-stricken, the friends refused to bury her, sensing that her spirit had not fully departed. They crafted a wooden bed draped with freshly picked flowers in the heart of the forest, hoping somehow she would awaken. Day after day, they stood vigil by her side, praying for a miracle. Her peaceful face and calm posture made her appear merely at rest, but none knew how to reverse the unseen poison coursing through her body. Meanwhile, Morenike hurried back to the palace with a triumphant gleam in her eyes. As soon as she reached her private quarters, she flung her disguise aside and consulted the mirror anew. This time, the mirror's hushed voice confirmed that Adesewa had fallen into a death-like slumber. Vindicated and confident, the queen believed her place as the fairest was finally secure. Little did she realize that the silent forest watched, and fate was weaving events that would soon unravel her carefully laid plans.
Coming up in episode 3. The awakening. Will fate intervene before Morenike strikes again? Stay tuned. Days turned into weeks, and still Adesewa lay unconscious on the wooden bed surrounded by flowers. The 7 friends took shifts to guard her, unwilling to leave her side for more than a moment. Their once cheerful banter was replaced by somber reflection. Each asked the other if there was something more they could do, some remedy overlooked or a prayer left unsaid. Word of a mysterious sleeping maiden spread beyond the edges of the forest, reaching wandering traders and travelers. Eventually, the tale reached Prince Oluwasegun, a noble young man from a neighboring kingdom. Intrigued by rumors of a beautiful princess under a strange enchantment, he set out to see for himself if the story held any truth. Arriving one late afternoon, Prince Oluwasegun dismounted his horse near the huts and introduced himself to the 7 men, each eyeing him with a mix of hope and caution. Despite their sorrow, they noticed the prince's earnest demeanor and regal bearing. Explaining Adesewa's plight, they led him to the flower-strewn clearing where she rested. A hush fell as the prince approached Adesewa's bed. The forest canopy overhead allowed slender beams of light to illuminate her serene face. Even in her death-like sleep, her beauty was evident, the features calm, as though she were merely in a gentle dream. Moved by her condition and the unwavering loyalty of the 7 friends, Prince Oluwasegun knelt beside her. Carefully, he lifted her into his arms, hoping a shift in position might allow her to breathe more freely. As he did, an almost imperceptible piece of roasted yam slipped from her lips, the poisoned morsel that had lodged in her throat. Suddenly, her eyelids fluttered. She inhaled sharply, coughing as she slowly regained consciousness. The men gasped, tears of joy welling in their eyes. Adesewa opened her gaze to find a concerned but relieved stranger cradling her. Uncertain and still weak, she managed a faint smile. The prince introduced himself, explaining how news of her plight had reached him and compelled him to seek her out. Overcome with gratitude, she clasped his hand, softly thanking him and her 7 loyal protectors. The men, delirious with relief, cheered and embraced one another. In time, Adesewa explained her story, her royal lineage, Queen Morenike's envious heart, and the huntsman's mercy that saved her life. Prince Oluwasegun listened intently, vowing to help her regain her rightful place. He recognized that justice must be sought, lest Morenike claim even more victims in her ruthless quest for supremacy. Adesewa, though trembling with the memory of betrayal, agreed to return home to confront the evil that festered in the palace she once called home. With the unwavering support of her 7 forest friends and Prince Oluwasegun's honorable pledge, Adesewa prepared herself for the journey. Though uncertain of the challenges ahead, she had learned through adversity that kindness, courage, and unity could overcome even the darkest plots. Little did she know, a final confrontation awaited, one that would determine not only her fate, but the fate of the Kingdom of Ife. Together with Prince Oluwasegun and the 7 friends, Adesewa made the difficult journey back to the palace. Their unexpected arrival caused quite a stir among the palace guards and attendants. Whispers rippled through the corridors as many thought Adesewa was gone forever. When King Adeyemi learned his daughter had returned alive, having believed she was simply away, he ran to the courtyard, tears of relief spilling down his cheeks. Overwhelmed, the king listened in growing horror as Adesewa and Prince Oluwasegun recounted the queen's treachery. Baba Dudu, who had been living under a cloud of guilt, confessed his role and explained how he had spared Adesewa's life. Faced with undeniable evidence, King Adeyemi confronted Queen Morenike publicly. Her initial denial crumbled under the weight of multiple testimonies. Cornered, she lashed out in fury, but no one in the kingdom would stand with her anymore. In a final act of defiance, Morenike reached for a hidden dagger strapped beneath her robes, intending to strike Adesewa. Yet the quick reflexes of Prince Oluwasegun and Baba Dudu thwarted her attack. Guards seized the queen and bound her hands. As the onlookers clamored for harsh punishment, King Adeyemi declared that her crimes demanded she be banished from the Kingdom of Ife forever. Humiliated, she was forced to leave with only the clothes on her back. The once flamboyant queen was reduced to a solitary exile. Peace returned to the palace, though the painful memories lingered. In the days that followed, the kingdom celebrated Adesewa's miraculous survival and commended the bravery of Prince Oluwasegun and the huntsman who had risked everything to protect her. The 7 friends from the forest compound were honored with gifts and a place of esteem in court. Yet Adesewa, with a heart brimming with compassion, insisted that despite everything, she forgave Queen Morenike. This profound act of mercy astounded all who heard it. As time passed, Prince Oluwasegun and Adesewa grew close, bound by a shared story of danger and rescue. Their union brought renewed joy to the palace, culminating in a grand ceremony that commemorated not only their love but the resilience of goodness in the face of evil. Music, feasting, and dancing filled the royal halls, echoing the triumph of harmony over jealousy. Before the festivities concluded, Adesewa delivered a simple yet powerful message to all who gathered. Bitterness does not extinguish another's light, only our own. It is kindness, courage, and mercy that sustain our spirits. Moral lesson: true beauty lies in a kind heart. Jealousy can destroy both the victim and the perpetrator, but forgiveness and compassion pave the way for lasting peace. Thank you for watching this Nigerian retelling of Snow White. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more cultural twists on classic tales. Leave a comment about your favorite moment, and stay tuned for our next enchanting adventure.